We must close this gap in order to keep Angelenos safe.
Again, a wild takeover at a local 7-Eleven like this one.
America, Los Angeles is experiencing a complete collapse of law and order, and now we know why. The LAPD is facing a staffing crisis so severe they literally don't have enough money to train new officers. Mayor Karen Bass is begging the city council for $4.4 million just to keep the hiring going through January, but they only approved $1 million. Meanwhile, teen mobs are swarming 7-Elevens in broad daylight. Neighborhoods are experiencing daily trash fires and crime, and residents have completely given up hope that anything will change.
Mayor Karen Bass is asking the city council to find millions of dollars to hire more LAPD officers.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is what happens when you elect progressive politicians who defund the police, demonize law enforcement, then act shocked when nobody wants to be a cop anymore and the city descends into complete chaos. Let me break down this absolute dumpster fire that is LA's police staffing situation. Mayor Karen Bass sent a letter to the city council saying that without $4.4 million in funding, LAPD would be unable to continue hiring starting in January. There will be no new cadets in the police academy, and current officers would face longer shifts and heavier workloads. The $4.4 million would go towards hiring 170 more LAPD officers over the next 6 months. That's all necessary procedures to hire, train, and equip new officers. But the city council only approved $1 million, which is enough for one class of 240 recruits starting training in January. That's it. Now here's the context that makes this even more insane. Los Angeles has 3.8 million people, yet LAPD only has 2 officers for every 1,000 residents. Let that sink in, guys. Compare that to New York City, which has more than double LA's population, but 4 officers for every 1,000 residents. LA is operating with half the police presence of New York City.
LAPD has been spread way too thin. From the fires on January 7th to the civil unrest to today, we've watched them struggle to balance everyday needs with those concurrent commitments to staff multiple ongoing events and emergencies.
Police Chief Jim McDonald said they must close the gap to keep Los Angeles safe, especially as they're preparing for the 2028 FIFA World Cup and the 2028 Olympics. Los Angeles can't even protect its families, grow the economy, or welcome the world without a strong, well-supported police department. But here's my question. Who the heck wants to be a police officer in Los Angeles? You have zero support from your leadership. Mayor Karen Bass has shown exactly what type of leader she is. We've seen her priorities. She's more concerned about appearing progressive than actually protecting the people who elected her, if anybody actually did. Now, the city council's hesitation to approve the full $4.4 million isn't coming out of nowhere. Earlier this year, Los Angeles faced a $1 billion budget shortfall that required layoffs and restructuring across multiple departments. So the question becomes, does the city even have $4.4 million to spend on police hiring? Mayor Karen Bass says it's up to the city council to decide on how to come up with the money, but multiple council members have noted that allocating such a large chunk would likely come out of another department. Some council members are expressing frustration at being rushed into a major funding decision right before the holidays.
Do we follow a budget process that's grounded in honesty and fiscal solvency? Or do we set aside our process to meet an entirely manufactured deadline?
One council member said the health and safety of its constituents is the #1 priority, and this will help them start growing back the numbers of where the city needs to be. But another council member questioned whether this is really an emergency or just a manufactured urgency. The biggest concern for many council members was getting money from the reserve funds, which is designated only for emergencies. But here's the reality, at least in my opinion, this isn't a manufactured crisis. LAPD LAPD has been hemorrhaging officers for years. They're losing 316 officers per month. The department is critically understaffed, and now they literally don't have enough money to train new recruits. That is not manufactured. That is a real public safety emergency. Now let's talk about what's happening in these LA streets. While politicians debate funding, last weekend dozens of teenagers on bikes swarmed a 7-Eleven in downtown LA like a pack of hungry wolves, stealing everything in sight. Someone wearing a mask pointed a gun at an employee while the rest of the group ransacked the store, throwing merchandise out to the accomplices waiting outside. The store clerk hit the panic button like that's actually going to help, because by the time LAPD showed up, everybody was gone. No arrests, no consequences, absolutely nothing. Now listen to what one teen said on camera while bragging about the robbery.
It's worth it because they don't got my face on me.
It's worth it because they don't got my face. Think about what that statement reveals. This kid knows he's committing a crime. He knows he's being recorded, but he also knows there will be no consequences because LA doesn't prosecute these crimes seriously. He's wearing a mask specifically because he understands the game. As long as they can't identify you, you can do whatever you want in LA. And what's the community's response? One resident said it happens everywhere.
It looked like a bunch of kids, so I'm not surprised.
She's not surprised. This has become so normal in Los Angeles that residents just expect their business to be robbed by teenagers. But another resident made excuses.
Probably don't have the money for food. If you literally go up that block, there's so many homeless people down there.
It's a systematic issue. Are you kidding me? These kids are stealing energy drinks and candy, not bread and milk. They're not starving for Marvin. They're criminals who absolutely know there will be no consequences for their actions.
Small business owners and even large business owners across this county have been on the front lines, essentially trying to fight crime on their own.
This is the culture that progressive policies create. You defund the police, you elect district attorneys who refuse to prosecute crimes, and you teach kids that they're victims of society instead of responsible for their own choices. And then everybody acts shocked when teen mobs start looting stores in broad daylight. This is what happens when you create an environment where crime has no consequences. But the teen mob robberies are just one symptom of LA's collapse. Let me tell you about something that's happening in South LA, because this is where you see a complete breakdown of city services and public safety. There is an area in LA County that has gotten so bad that rubbish fires and illegal dumping happen every single day. Firefighters at Station 64 in Watts say easily 95% of their fires they respond to are homeless fires. They literally just pulled back into the station from one when news crews showed up. Since January 1st, get this, there have been 500 homeless fires reported. And that's just in the city. Double, triple that if you include the county fires. But the fires are just the beginning. Business owners in the area describe it as pretty lawless. That is absolutely sad.
Pretty lawless out here. I feel like people feel unsafe. The kids aren't allowed to go outside on their own without, being with adult supervision.
This is an area that's been home to a real estate and manufacturing business for nearly half a century. The owner, Caesar, said it's gotten worse in recent years, and the reason is absolutely simple. This area is a judicial nightmare. You've got federal property owned by Union Pacific Railroad, state property owned by Caltrans, City of Los Angeles property, and unincorporated LA County property all in the same area, and they all point fingers at one another. Sounds like typical Los Angeles leadership. The 110 and 105 interchange, you might recognize it from the famous opening scene of La La Land where everybody's dancing on the freeway, has been home to continuous rubbish fires, homeless encampments, and trash for years. More than 1,000 fires in this area since January alone. Now let me tell you about the other crimes happening in the area because it gets even more disturbing. Business owners report masked men rolling up with AK-47s. There's constant graffiti and illegal dumping. One business owner said they had 400 pounds of pork shoulder marinating on Figueroa and 127th that was dumped overnight. Then on Saturday, they had 1,000 pounds of pork ribs dumped on the street. What the heck is going on in LA? We got a homeless buffet going on here. But the most disturbing thing, bodies being dumped on the railroad tracks. One incident involved a woman laying in the middle of the tracks. The train couldn't stop in time and unfortunately hit her and severed her leg. And then get Get this, a homeless person actually took the leg into an encampment. I can't do it with you anymore, LA. I cannot. Community advocate David Matthews found the woman's leg on 110th and Redondo Beach Boulevard. He said, thank God it wasn't in a storm drain because we have people living in storm drains right now. What the heck? Think about that statement, guys. People across all major cities, not just in LA, but people are living in storm drains in Los Angeles. And that is accepted as normal.
There was a woman laying in the middle of the tracks, and the train couldn't stop in time, so it hit her and it severed her leg. And then a homeless person actually took the leg into an encampment.
This 8-square-mile danger zone has been pleading for help from local leaders, but their constant requests have been lost down a dark hole. One business owner said, I'm sick and tired of all the barriers and all the BS and all the excuses. The family that runs a business just wants some law and order in Los Angeles. They said everyone pays their taxes. California is one of the most expensive states to live in, and we feel like our tax money should be coming up with solutions instead of the problems getting even bigger. What's happening in Watts isn't isolated. This is a pattern across Los Angeles, the burning city, understaffed police department, overwhelmed fire departments, business owners under siege, residents who've given up hope, and politicians who make excuses instead of solving the problems. Our good friend Gavin Newsom just announced a model ordinance that's supposed to give local jurisdiction the ability to make positive change when it comes to the homeless encampments. If encampments are there for more than 3 days, or if people are sleeping on sidewalks, this gets rid of any excuses and allows them to take action. We'll see where that goes. But here's the problem. LA already has legal authority to clear encampments. The issue isn't legal barriers. The issue is political will. Mayor Karen Bass and the city council don't want to clear encampments because it goes against their progressive ideology. They'd rather let neighborhoods burn and businesses get destroyed than admit their policies have failed.
How do we get this to stop?
Well, I mean, I don't even know because kids don't listen in general, but maybe if parents start teaching their kids to be more respectful.
Listen to how defeated that resident just sounded. How do we get this to stop? I don't even know. That's what happens when you destroy the family structure, eliminate consequences for bad behavior, and teach kids they're victims instead of responsible for their choices. America, Los Angeles is experiencing a complete collapse of law and order. The LAPD doesn't have enough money to train new officers. Teen mobs are looting stores in broad daylight with zero consequences. Neighborhoods are experiencing daily trash fires, illegal dumping, and violent crimes. Bodies are being dumped on railroad tracks. Homeless people are living in storm drains, and residents have completely given up that anything will change. Mayor Karen Bass begged for $4.4 million to hire 170 new officers, and the city council gave her $1 million. Meanwhile, LA is prepping to host the World Cup and Olympics with half the police presence of New York City. Who would want to be a cop in a city where the mayor doesn't support you, the DA doesn't prosecute criminals, and teen mobs can rob stores with impunity? The business owner in Watts said it perfectly. Everyone pays their taxes. California is one of the most expensive states to live in, and taxpayers feel like their money should be coming up with solutions instead of the problems getting bigger. But folks, we all know that is how progressive governance works. They take your money, they defund the police, they enable criminals and homeless encampments, and then lecture you about compassion while your neighborhood burns. LA isn't experiencing a funding crisis, it's experiencing a leadership crisis. Until voters elect leaders who prioritize law-abiding citizens over criminals, the collapse will only accelerate. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.